we always had love and support. Even when we were homeless, we had family members. But a couple of times it was tough. We were by ourselves. My mother would always have us go to library, museums, and that created a dream state of reality, meaning I wanted more. I was creative in my thinking, but it was rooted on science, technical facts, and disciplines that I could adapt in the real world. When I became interested in music as a pioneer in hip hop, Mr. Sweety G, I did that in middle school, just going into high school, and it ended up becoming a career that shaped my life.
Welcome to the Powerhouse. My name is Joshua Gonzalez, but you can call me JG. This show is for the moment when you're at the crossroads and your judgment actually matters. Each episode, I sit down with a leader here in New York City to unpack one real decision under pressure. What the stakes were, trade offs they face, and the values behind it. Then we publish a short written breakdown in the Powerhouse newsletter on LinkedIn. So if you ever had to make a hard call with imperfect information, this is for you. Let's get it started. Our featured leader is a serial entrepreneur and managing partner of RCP Venture Capital. Everyone, please welcome our featured leader, Dr. Glenn Toby.
Thank you, JG. Glad to be here. Hello, audience.
I'm honored to have you. How's your day?
Day's amazing, closing it out, and excited to be here. You have such a global reach, and I'm excited to be here to share some information and to learn as well.
Let's get it started, Dr. Toby. I read, that in your story that at an early age, you became homeless. Please elaborate on that situation and how that happened to you.
Absolutely. I was born in Brooklyn, raised in Queens. My mother had a nervous breakdown. Um, she and my grandmother took care of my brother and I, and she lost her job because there was criminal activity with the boss and people associated, and she didn't want to be involved in it. It caused undue stress, and with the getting fired, eventually we were bouncing around, moving around from different social settings like support from government, family help, and then after a while, she had a nervous breakdown, and we were unstable around until about the 7th grade.
And at that point in time, uh, can you tell us one specific hard decision that you had to make?
It's interesting you said that. I didn't think about it, but as a child, I remember at 8 years old when we wouldn't have a stable house. I remember as a young child remembering to just focus on three things. I'd watch my mother. I knew she was struggling with mental illness. She was always resolute, and we were always connected to her, full of love. My childhood was not sacrificed, even with these tough times. My grandmother was there, religious, spiritual background, lots of love. So I was kind of a dreamer. I couldn't really focus, almost like an ADHD, but I used it as a way to collect memories and experiences and be a dreamer, which helped me for storytelling and helped me to be expansive and listen to other people's ideas and philosophies later on. But the most focused thing was to listen to the danger, responsibilities of, making sure we don't go too far from mother and my grandmother, doing really well in school, the only place we could fairly compete because we couldn't compete maybe socially at times. And I made a decision that I would be kind of disciplined to whatever was put in front of me and to keep it narrow in scope for what was important and to realize that we'd be bouncing around for a minute until we didn't. And that was the 7th grade in Queens Village.
At a young age, you had to make that decision to stay focused on what was important. Tell us if you weren't that aware or you weren't in control of how you're gonna act and how your focus is going to be. What would be the downside of it if you just let go?
I think if as a child, obviously you could be abducted, kidnapped, sexual abuse, run away. If some children didn't have the ability to process disruption in the household. But to me, we were adaptive to all conditions because we had a spiritual upbringing. And remember, from birth until that moment, my brother and I, we had the best life. We'd go to museums, we'd go on trips. We never missed a meal. In fact, during my homelessness, we never missed a meal. We didn't suffer. It was just disruption. I always say we didn't have a house, but we always had a home.
Well,
That's where we slept.
and during that point, can you take us to an instant that when you really had to make a tough call? Do you have any examples of that?
Yeah, my tough I grew up in my part of Queens, some of the biggest drug dealers, hustlers. I mean, from the period of time from, I'd say, the late '70s through the '80s, it was a crack went crazy in the country. People that I went to school with, I grew up with, were making millions of dollars. We decided, my brother and I, not to go that route because we wanted our family to be proud, and we saw a bigger picture. I think much of that comes from the imagination, the vision of thinking I could do anything like the books that I read in my life. And, taking that position was one that I could say I followed through the rest of my life and may have become my thesis of being structured, staying focused, not being disrupted, but still respecting other people's choices and philosophy.
It seems like you had a tough conversation with your sibling about not going to that route. Take us to that conversation. Did you have an agreement right away, or there was some kind of back and forth? Because, of course, situation happens, homelessness and disruptions, as you said.
Yeah. I mean, we always valued things, I think, based on not value opportunities, but spiritual and philosophical because we were so young.
Right.
Then as you continue to grow and you get older, I had entertainment, music, as Mr. Sweety G, one of the pioneers in hip hop. That in my middle school allowed me to build a complete career that carried me to this day, the gift of song. Not having a lot of things, our temperament, our desires were not as immediate as some people because just to have a warm place to live and to have continuity in everyday thinking, living, growing, and building, we didn't have our temptation didn't pull us the way it did maybe some of the other kids in the area.
Until what age did you experience this? Was it until you probably graduated high school? What's the story there?
Well, before we had our own home, I still lived with my aunt, uncle, uh, Nelson and Lula Hopkins, who were amazing. They were the bridge for us to get our own place for years. So it's not like we were living on the streets, eating out of the garbage. When you say homelessness, people take it to such an extreme. Some people are in a house and a home and they're homeless. Some people are in a dire environment that's not conducive to growth, that lacks the support that you need and the wellness and protection. We had that every second. I think from a youth to almost up until seventh grade, we had every element of a healthy traditional household, except we had tougher conditions, and that required discipline, respect, and patience. Patience I wasn't so great with, but I followed the rest of them.
um, Having some family put their effort in helping take care of you guys, do you remember any difficult conversations that you had with them that really kind of put an imprint in your life?
The imprint was don't use drugs, keep God first, don't take undue risks, and don't shame my household. That was enough. And then I think my personality and part of the way I'm driven, my DNA is competitive, work hard, discipline, and helping others. So needing so much help for so long was easier for me to be a helpful person. So I combined that in the thesis of how I work,
Right.
fair exchange, equitable exchange, hard work, and challenge myself. I'm my own competition, and I was competing to be the best person I could be. My father wasn't in my life, so I
Uh-huh.
wanted to replace him by how I lived and how I treated people, my leadership.
And where does this influence come from?
By what was missing inside the house. So what was missing in my house, what was missing in my home, in my heart, in my dreams were the realities. Realities were only the work that I could do, whatever God gave me, whatever I think conditions I had or whatever resources I had. I either had to put seeds in the ground, wait for the yield for it to become fruit that I could use, or be able to fast through it, through these fasting, trying times, go without it and be creative, or humble myself enough to go without it, to be flexible enough and patient enough. Again, patience was never there, but I think it created a desire for me to find a pathway to make these dreams reality. So I would say the one resource that I had was creativity and discipline. And
Creativity.
yeah, creativity.
And you lean on this until you kind of slowly made a name for yourself. When was the first time that you felt like we're having this good break? This is getting better.
It was more mental. We always had love and support.
Right.
Even when we were homeless, we had family members. A couple of times it was tough. We were by ourselves, but I think it started coming when I was able to focus on non-traditional education, like reading encyclopedias. My mother would always have us go to library, museums, and that created a dream state of reality. Meaning, I wanted more. I was creative in my thinking, but it was rooted on science, technical facts, and disciplines that I could adapt in the real world, school and such. So when I became interested in music as a pioneer in hip hop, Mr. Sweety G, I did that in middle school, just going into high school, and it ended up becoming a career that shaped my life and relationships, and obviously historical value in terms of culture, being in the hip hop museum and making music and managing artists. All of that creates a discipline. It creates a reality, and it allows you to have a template to build something that has value, commercial value, spiritual and philosophical value.
Right. It seems like when you built your life, you're not only looking at one aspect. You know? You want to look at it holistically, spiritual, monetary, at the same time, some fulfillment on your end. Um, in terms of being this entrepreneur, being a leader on your own, what were some moments that you felt that, oh, I needed help, right? Or you asked for help from someone,
I never could ask for help, but I had great mentors.
mentors?
Yeah, mentors in the neighborhood who were good guys, husband, wife, traditional families. I would model those because they weren't, except my aunt, uncle, who were pretty much there. Um, and reading books, so I was able to go back in time, go to the future, know the difference from reality and what's not reality, fiction, nonfiction. I was heavy on investing and trying to find ways legally to make money, and I did really well in the markets. First investment was John Templeton's Templeton Funds, and I put money in that, went into Merrill Lynch with, I think, $500 or $1,000, and I came up with this system that I talk about. It's on my website. It's called The Four Boxes,
Right.
a non-traditional system to finance, furthering yourself with philosophy and foundation and firmament that's not just concrete ideas, but a systemic way to get to wealth and to get to the wealth of your gift. So all of this came from innovation, putting it with real things, not just being a dreamer and gambling, but taking calculated risks. And I think mitigating risk versus reward. And I've been really good at that because I know I had enough in my community to see the difference. What happens when you go completely left? What the results are. What happens when you go completely right? And sometimes it's not resolute, it's ideological. So it gave me the flexibility of framework, especially being a creative, that I was able to have something that, that's sustainable, whether it's making money in the markets, whether it's creating something that lives forever. And I was able to combine that, which sometimes can be difficult.
And this framework that you're talking about that you've championed in your TED talk, in your book, how did this came to be? Was it just how you experienced life and you just piece it together, or where's the inspiration from this?
It's funny you said that. When you mentioned the TED talk, turning trauma into triumph. If you look at that online, I talk about facing your failures, your trauma, your triumphs. If you don't face it, it faces you. Later on in life, it shows up, these indelible pieces that you collect and pick up, these tiny stones, whether it's a small pebble that you step on that, breaks the skin in a metaphorical sense,
Right.
and that's grow and grow, and then you have a problem. So you can either deal with all your failures and your successes, compartmentalize them, and find a way to commoditize them. Not necessarily commercialize them to money, but commoditize them where they become shields of protection. Tools can become weapons if not used rightly. And I mean, in a proper manner, in a bright manner, right? These so called tools, these vestiges of cure, the difference between medicine and poison is how you use it, how much you use it, and where you're using it and when.
That's really profound. It's how people say, oh, it's drugs. It can heal you, but if you use it the wrong way, it can kill you.
Wow.
And in this um metaphor that you brought up, how did you apply this in your life?
I think by losing and winning, you go into a business venture, I'm exposed to, say, giants in industry. Maybe I'm not earning the money I'm supposed to earn. I'm not getting a fair commission. I'm not getting the credit. They're doing some things that don't align with my ethics or principles, but I'm still in the space and I can edit. out of the picture of my life because I'm the master of my destiny. The world is my canvas. This is my brush. I can choose the colors that I want. And when it goes outside the lines, if it's not by design, it's probably not mine and I got to decline. How's that for a rhyme?
Wow. When you say, you're the master, all right? You're the painter of the life. You set your boundary. If it's out, it's probably not yours. What do you think about people who, have a hard time accepting that sometimes?
Well, I think acceptance comes in time and awareness, but you have to think we are basically authors of our life. The experiences can be the length of a sentence, something that goes by you, an experience that just lasts for minutes. The chapters of your life are things that indelibly can't be passed away. Your childhood, things that people have done to you, traumas, whether it's death, incarceration, mental illness, someone not treating you right, being cheated, losing, bad mistakes. Some people have addiction issues. Those chapters of your life can be bound together to come up to be the book of your life. And sometimes the story you tell is not yours. For instance, I told a story that's not mine, that's a fictional story, but I extrapolated from it ideals, principles, philosophies that I learned over life. And I'm not plugging this thing. Here's an example, right? And this example is the Asian Power League. It's about a fictional character who has challenge of morality, education. This isn't my life, but it is a testament to much of my philosophy. It is congruent to much of my thought process. It became a best-selling, international best-selling book. And I just took pieces of my life and experience and told it from someone else's vision to create a commodity. Again, picking these things up, right? When you're cooking, this is like putting together a recipe. You might pick up your failures, your successes, something you do and don't agree about, and make a story of it. A story that you can sell like a book, or a story that you can tell like a lecture, or a story you can live like the ultimate film of your life, where you're the director, the actor, and you're the owner of it as you watch it and others watch it.
Wow. Let's dissect that a little bit, Dr. Toby. Um, Turning essentially experience into commodity. I think that's very, I would say, if people don't discover that way to do it or don't have that perspective of doing that, they lose the ability to eventually use this for their own gain, whatever experience. Um, can you share with us some potential small steps that they could take for them to slowly practice that habit?
Well, one of them is to identify the issues. If you have anger issues, take a look at what happens when you're disruptive at the family event, at the office party, at school. What are some of the attributable issues that you can say are yours? Like, this guy triggers me, this lady triggers me. I don't operate at all in the morning. All my jobs, I don't get up. Maybe I should change my shift. Do I need to invest in a car? Do I need to carpool with somebody? Can you not carpool with them because you don't get along socially? You have to identify what your gifts are. You have to identify what your limits are and start to strategize as though you're a corporation or you're your own psychiatrist, analyzing yourself like you'd analyze a stock or behavior or the way you're looking at other people. Look at yourself with the third eye, and then you can design the recipe for your success or make a blueprint that allow you to get to the discovery of your life.
Can you elaborate on that? That kind of blew me. Wow.
Yeah. So we need to look at ourselves the way others look at ourselves. Let's whiteboard our lives. Let's look at our temperament. Somebody does something crazy. Some people are like, don't worry about it. I know this person's emotional. I don't want to press charges. I know they're rude at the job. The guy threw coffee on me. I'm making this up, guys. Or somebody you get in a car accident and this person has road rage. You can end up getting killed, shot, killed. Anything could happen. A police officer pulls you over. He's rude. He's triggering you. You're in front of your children and somebody's disrespectful. We've got to measure the measure of our lives. What is the measure of our life? It's not just how we see ourselves and how we're seen. The measure is the distance between here and the jail cell you're going to if you act crazy, the distance of this crazy boss or supervisor or someone that you're supervising that's triggering you or trying to put you in a space that'll disrupt you from your purpose. Measure the distance between where you're going to end up and where you are. Sometimes it's no action at all. Sometimes you have to remove yourself out of the space. We rarely manage things based on the deficit of our life. We always look at how great we are, who we are, and it's the other person. It could be us. And it could only be us when we're in these specific conditions. Maybe you're filing a tax return, you keep getting audited. Hire a CPA. If you drive and you like to have cocktails and you have a DUI, maybe you should use Uber or have someone else drive. We never audit our behavior. It's more difficult. It can be painstaking, and we can have maybe issues that we don't see ourselves the way the world does, but we can audit the outcome. Take a whiteboard the outcome where you are. Do you keep losing jobs? Can you not keep a relationship? Do your children hate you? Been married 4 or 5 times, just doesn't work, same results. You launch 5 companies. People say you're greedy or you're selfish or you don't listen or pay attention. This self audit is the only free way to coming out of your personal prison and going into your platform.
Our audience that are watching, they're probably uh, soon to be an emerging leader, soon to be placed in position, making the hard decisions. And my words for how you describe it is like, um, it's all the concept of like self leadership. Look at yourself first
Right.
and see how you can improve, see where your weaknesses are. What's the most important thing that they should look at first in order for them to be able to say, I'm ready to lead others?
If you're really ready to make the change and to grow, if you're able to have accountability, if you're struggling with accountability and people say you don't, look at everybody else. Is everybody else saying you're late all the time? Every group that you work with saying you don't work effectively with groups. Do some people say you don't communicate well enough and you're not clear enough? You cut people off. You don't listen. When you go into deal flow, you're always in a lawsuit or it breaks away. Look at everybody else, put that on one box. Again, you'll see it. It's on my website, drglenntoby.com. This 4 boxes theory. Compartmentalize all of the different pieces, all of your failures, your strengths, your weaknesses, and the outcomes. Scientifically, principally, and ideologically, it can never betray you. If you're looking at the world through your lens and you're blind, it doesn't matter what you're going to see because you can't see it. But if you're looking through the prism of truth, you can have your eyes closed and come to the facts.
Wow, I just love how you've arranged the words in a way that is smooth and at the same time, people will remember it.
Thank you.
Um, you mentioned that if you look at this thing through your own lens, and let's say it's a muddy lens, you are not going to be able to really see what the reality is. And some people choose that life. They want to choose that bliss. They want to choose that. And would you say that you're not fit to lead people if that's your choice, or is there a good way or a good ending to something like that?
So that's the most powerful question, I think. Let me be clear. You can have a lot of success. You can lead everybody else to the throne, to the holy grail. But where do you end up? Have you spent no time with your children that they inherit $1 billion when you're gone, that they don't really know you, that everybody's wearing a mask like they're on stage? Do you not share with your wife or your girlfriend or your partners what you're doing in business? Are you living multiple lives? The oneness of one's life is shown by the work. It's like a king that says he's the greatest king that ever lived, and everybody that's in the kingdom is starving. They don't have enough food. They can't communicate. They're not happy in heart. So when the ruler comes through, they say, "You're the greatest ruler that ever lived," and they smile and they have a party until he goes and they go, "Thank God he's gone." You don't want somebody to say, "Thank God he's gone." You don't want somebody to say, "Thank God she's gone." But these are the things I benefited from the experience of them being in my life, which are money, legacy, lessons, laughter or not. And there's nothing else. You were not a part of the experience. You were just making moves that moved other people, and you were not moved by your own work. Your work can move others, but does your work move you? Do you feel how people are resonated by your work? Do you feel the applause within when people are giving you the applause? You look over your shoulder and say, "This was easy. It wasn't really me." We have to be more honest with ourselves than we are with other people. We struggle to be so honest to connect with other people, but we have a failure to connect with ourselves. And at the end, there's a deafening sound. You'll hear everybody else's voice but your own.
That's intense. It means that you can achieve success even if it's blurred, right? But do you truly listen to yourself is the question. Do you even believe what you say, right? And for these young leaders who have a chance to be brave, be courageous, to look at kind of the real lens, what would your words of encouragement with them be?
It's hard to find the truth with so much fake news and so many different narratives and people's um, people go from fact finding and dealing with finance, court issues, litigation, and talk about their feelings, which may not be resolute to truth. One solid piece of truth. Be truthful with yourself. Even if you're in pain, at least you're starting to work on it. It's like a scab. It takes a while to peel it off. When you go to sleep at night, audit your every step. When you wake up in the morning, look at it as though you're reviewing a tape to see how you can change the course of your life. We're always trying to change everybody else's life. Many of you founders who are in business, you're talking to the investors about how you're going to change their lives and make them so much money.
Or change the world, that's their promise.
Oh, this is it. Follow me. Here we go. But the real deal is if you got all the money in the world, if your premise didn't work and it was out of time, it crashed out. Could you live with it? If people said, this guy had a great idea and it didn't work, would you be able to iterate and go into the next stage? Honesty with ourselves, people. We're not communicating with ourselves. We have to listen to the inner voice. And if that voice becomes clouded, that's when you have to go to these resolute practices of putting the facts in the box. Take it out of your head, take it out of your heart, treat it scientifically. Treat it not just spiritually, not just ethically, but look at the science, look at the facts. The only thing that we can do that's going to help us advance is dealing with facts because the investor, your followers are going to blindly follow what you're saying. And if you're not true to yourself, you're not going to know when you need to call for help. Pull over to get gas, hear that you have a flat tire, the car's not running right, and that's the internal clock. That's the direction of the GPS system that you have. And that could be good positioning systems or God putting you in a system that you need to be in. You've got to hear the indelible call that navigates and allows you to regulate your own movement. It can't just be in money and resolve because you may not get to where you're going. If this event, if this venture, if this experience is cut short, you've got to be able to stand right on your feet and be able to iterate without losing your followers.
Would you say that sometimes you gotta lose the followers? Sometimes they're the ones that are affecting you negatively. They're pushing you in a direction that they have some agenda, right?
That's why, thank you, JG. That's why when you're listening to yourself, when they leave, you can examine why they left. Is the reason they really left because of you or them? There's the auditing provision, right?
Right.
You're too greedy. I'm not too greedy. You have more equity than I do. Nobody's been paid. We're in a deficit. You're getting a paycheck. I'm not. So that's when you have to audit truth and audit the positioning of where you are. So to your point, sometimes you might have to go. Forget about them leaving.
Right.
Maybe you need to get in the gym, change your diet, worship a little bit more, get more sleep, not be so intense. Think before you speak, share more, cut back more. So those followers include yourself. So are you following the right spirit, the right thought, the right plan? And are you listening to the followers? And are you listening to what you're following, which could be philosophy, ideology?
I know we've pretty much how do you say this, elevated our discussion, towards a very high level. I'll try to bring it down closer to earth, wherein these people are experiencing more day-to-day stuff. They're not strategic yet.
Yeah.
What's one thing that they could do, on a day-to-day basis where this will lead to a big improvement in their life if it compounds?
Simply put, ladies and gentlemen, take information, do all the research you can, learn in spaces you're not familiar from. Don't just go to teachers who are aligned to you. Just learn things that you want to read. Sometimes you have to go through the painful data, research, read things you don't agree with that don't make any sense, because later on it'll give you recall. It can become really helpful. It can be a manual for success. You may meet that person that you oppose because you have opposite thinking, but by studying opposite thinking, by studying ideas that you don't agree with, you may find them and be able to identify with them and know what the opposing challenge is. This person that you're negotiating against, this person that you're fighting in court, this person that you want to work with, you'll be able to adapt better. So don't always take information, don't always use resources that are familiar and comfortable. Sometimes you're going to need that discomfort and you're going to need to dig deeper to have an understanding. It could be another language, and that language can be English, it could be Spanish, it could be any language, but the language that's not spoken is the language you need to be able to interpret, man. Yes, what someone's not saying, hearing what they're not saying to you, understanding what you don't understand.
I see. Well, and I heard this Japanese maxim. Japanese go like it's like medicine is bitter, right? It means that similar to how you said it, it's if you're reading something, you're only taking information, putting inside your body, consuming information from sources that are you already agree with, then you'll never be able to see the other side. And maybe there's something there. It might not, but there's something there, and you might kind of like lose it, right? You're
Yeah,
not.
it can become familiar,
Uh-huh.
and familiarity breeds contempt.
Come
Think
again?
think familiarity breeds contempt. Things that come to you so easy, that have nuance, that reflect what you're doing, you can become complacent, you can be overly confident. Yes, of course, this is reframing my thinking. Listen, it sounds like me. This is what I said, all in line with me. The great, great victories. Champions are people that are able to align and utilize losses to learn, to navigate to be better, and to know how to line up to effectively oppose it or bring those people into your system. You have to have experiences that are not comfortable. You have to be in situations that you're not familiar with so that you're able to go in. That's what great leaders do. And you're able to iterate, change, and adapt at high levels as fast as necessary. Fast can be a year, or fast can be within seconds. That's what the great ones do.
When you say fast, you mean like the reaction and the learning? Is that what you meant?
The reaction, the learning, the identifying that you're in trouble. So say if you have a company that's developing and everything seems right, but there's something that you missed in the middle of development. It could be an environmental issue, it could be a legal issue, it could be a cultural issue. But if you're being attentive to everything around you and you're taking in data, not just rejecting it because you're not comfortable with it, you'll have the tools to fix the issue if you're open to take everything in. You don't have to bring it into your soul or your mind, but it's important to monitor and to give respect to other ideas, other principles, and other avenues to get you to where you got to go.
Wow. We're kind of approaching a halftime mark of our conversation. Um, Tell us, like, in hindsight, with all your experience, what's something that this emerging leaders, you know, could use to make a big decision maybe next week? Something that they could apply right away.
I think one of the most important things we could do is continue to stay focused on the mission. Put together your make sure if you're doing decks, let other people see it. If you need to redact or not give them the complete idea, if something that's so quiet that you don't want anybody to take the idea or it's kind of private or in super development that no one can come near it, then maybe go in a complete opposite direction. So if you need to know something like, how's the visual presentation? You can give them a premise that has nothing to do with what you're doing and show what you're doing. It's important to do comparative analysis. Don't get caught inside a silo. Don't get inside yourself that you think you've got all the answers. And I have to be focused to get this done. Sometimes you have to abandon the mission, you have to adapt, include, or as you said, JG, move things out, delete. Don't be afraid to be open to making the change and don't put undue I'm happy. Don't put undue pressure on yourself.
Now, Dr. Toby, we're gonna go into the fun part of our podcast, the entertainment portion, all about New York City. And my first question to you is, what would be your coffee order in New York?
Hmm. Generally, I like a straight black coffee with nothing in it so I can taste the flavor. I like coffee beans from around the world, different countries. Sometimes I want some Guatemala or I want Kenyan or I want Jamaican so I kind of like to enjoy that way. I'm not one for like the sweeteners and all that stuff. I do like a latte, but I don't go past that. It's either a latte with someone really decorating it and putting it together good. I can taste if the machine has been managed properly and because I really like my coffee when I like it.
Right.
Teas are the same way as well. I take them serious. It's almost spiritual when I have a tea or something.
You said tea?
Yeah, tea as well. Sometimes
Oh,
I like tea, yeah.
do you import them? Let's talk about tea. Where do you get them, and what type of tea? Green tea?
When I travel around other countries, I try different teas because
Uh,
the leaves, it's almost spiritual. When people think of reading tea leaves
right.
historically through the ages, There's this thing in the social space where people say, "I got the tea," which is the information. So tea has a spiritual and a connotative component to it that is really deep. People talk over tea and coffee, so not just on a social, but I think there's a transformational value that has something to do with it as well.
All right. I love that. Let's have tea. Now let's talk about some snack. What's your bagel order?
As an entree or or an appetizer?
Let's say breakfast.
Breakfast, I think I like, omelets. Um, I like to have my waffles or my pancakes just less and less and less because 'cause we're trying to be healthy, right?
Right.
And water and tea. I like to go light with my meals,
Right.
so I'm able to be flexible. Yeah, and I'm open to different the way food is prepared in different regions because I travel so much.
Right. How about your bagel order in New York?
I would go with, always some lox,
Lux.
um yeah, bagels and lox I like a little.
Got you. I got you. Um, what's a local spot in New York that deserves more attention?
Well, surprisingly enough, it's my childhood place on Hillside Avenue, a place called Gabby's way out in Queens. It's not one of these famous, Italian restaurants, but it's my favorite. Been there since I was a kid, and I love this. They're like family and friends over there. It's the best of New York food. It's better than anything you can imagine. I always love
Right.
going.
What should we get there? Is it a pasta place, pizza?
Pasta, you get the traditional Gabby slice, and or mine is chicken parmesan is one of my favorites.
Oh, I'm getting hungry now.
Hillside and Francis Lewis, Queens Village Hollis.
Or again?
Gabby's Pizza, Hillside, and Francis Lewis,
I
Queensville.
see. Perfect.
Tell him Sweety G sent you.
Sweetie G. um, what's your we're celebrating restaurant? Where are you booking?
You mean the one I don't like as much, or
It's essentially like you're bringing a lot of people. Like you have guests, you have important people coming. Where are you taking them?
and is it global or is it
Here in the city, New York.
New York?
New York. Yeah, yeah.
I think I'd go the Chow's because it's such a deliberate. Chow's is one of my favorites
I
because
haven't been Chow's. Where was that? Chow's.
yeah, Mr. Chow's,
Ah, Mr. Chow's. Okay.
Mr. Chow's, the service experience because of the food, because of the environment, and if I'm doing something really big, it's like a celebration. It feels like, it's not just food, but it's good to negotiate, talk, celebrate. Mr. Chow is one of my favorites.
Very versatile place, I guess.
Kinda top heavy, it would be considered, uh, mm, top 1% of restaurants globally.
God, love that. Love that. What subway behavior should be illegal?
I think, coming into people's space too close within 3 feet, someone doesn't wanna be bothered. I think profanity when people have their kids, I think there should be a space in every New York City, and this goes out to the mayor. Find a space in every subway platform that has like a closed booth that a person can go in there and scream and act crazy.
A designated crazy spot, essentially. I love that. Stress relief.
Yeah.
Which neighborhood in New York is basically your personality and why?
I'd say Queens, Hollis, Queens, Hillside Avenue, because it was so diverse. Queens is one of the most diverse neighborhoods. Brooklyn born, but Queens sworn. Brooklyn identifies within its spaces that each community so much itself, but it intersects. Whereas Queens was a little bit so diverse. Like if you go to Astoria, all the way down to where we are, it's every nation, every race, every culture, all types of foods, and so much has come from Queens. I mean, think about it. The World's Fair, the first one was right there in Queens. The
Yeah, Corona Park, right?
There it goes. The Mets played there. The Jets played there. There's something magic about Queens.
And what do you say about the people from the city that's scared to cross the river to Queens?
I think that they're missing a lot. I mean, they should pick a day where they get in an Uber, train, whatever it is, do their research and come out and feel some Queens. I love Queens and Brooklyn too. Not that I'm not leaving out Staten Island and the Bronx. They all have something for us all. Long Island is like a world of its own because it's so vast and it's so different
Huge. Yeah.
pockets, yeah, and flavors.
Um, it if New York had a signature scent, how would you describe it? You can be as animated as you want.
For me, New York smells like everything. It's one of the few places on the planet you could smell in the wintertime chestnuts and hot dogs and pretzels cooking on the side from the charcoal. You could smell um, stores open where there's a beautiful perfume coming out. Even the hint of the garbage has a different smell than anywhere else. I've gone to countries where the garbage is so bad you just cover your nose and it's horrible. It's almost like garbage could be a fragrance for New York City the way New York does.
That's great, great. Um, in New York, you can blank.
In New York, you can live.
Elaborate, elaborate.
In New York, you can be you, stay you, play you. You can do whatever you want to do because there's always a little bit of space. If you look at a lot of New Yorkers, don't make eye contact. Although generally, growing up, we're this close to each other because it's such it's so populated, right? So many people moving by. Even on the trains, everybody's lined right up, and sometimes they're looking just like this, not making eye contact. Even the police department.
Right.
Somebody can walk up to a police officer, be as loud, disrespectful, aggressive, and share their opinion. New York police officers do just like this.
Oh yeah, they're stone cold.
No response, but they can signal when you're getting a little too close and when you need to back out before they bring the jewelry out and give you the bracelets, right? So I think New York is a place that you can exist and coexist with so many different people, be indifferent,
Right.
be the same, and still never lose your measure of individuality. It's one thing about that city.
What's the most New York thing you've ever done?
The most New York thing I've ever done was walk and eat while I'm late 5 minutes to an appointment that I need the job or I'm going to get an eviction. And at the same time, I have money saved. So I got to figure out, how do I not get evicted? Growing up as a kid, when you are, or when you're a younger person, you're gambling to become successful, right? You might
Right.
take money from the rent, the light bill to try to iterate or create some kind of
Yeah.
business, and knowing how to manage all that stuff at one time. That when you're speaking to the landlord, if you're late, if you're speaking to the court clerk, if you're speaking to the person that's hiring you, like in New York, there's like this energy what New Yorkers can share. I mean, I remember times when myself and friends have been like, when can you start? Tuesday? And the guy goes, I could start right now. And they go, I get it. By the way, you'll be paid in less than 2 weeks. New York has this, this undisclosed hidden resonance of
Right.
communication like nowhere else in the world.
There's a code. For sure.
Yeah.
Okay. I have a final question. What did New York City teach you?
New York City taught me to give respect when you're not in a respectful situation. It taught me to be quiet when you need to cry or scream out loud. It taught me to let other people live. It taught me about barriers. Those barriers could be inches within me where someone's threatening you, you're unsafe, and they're within an inch, but they don't breach it, or give somebody so much space you never see them again. Live and let live. It taught me that you can dream bigger than the imagination allows, and that reality will come to grace, and that you can let every person have their own voice, their own choice, and their own breath without taking away from anything that you need to do and want to do.
Oh, great. We have now entered the last part of our program. Dr. Toby, who should reach out to you?
Anybody that has a gift that's undeveloped,
Right.
anybody that has a dream that's not coming to reality, anybody that's in a reality that they found out is only a dream, drglentoby.com. DrGlenNToby.com for those you leaders and followers that are suffering with mistakes, youth trauma, anxiety, excitement, or feel like you have a great story to tell or the ingredient for a great meal that can feed the world. I understand it. I understand the reality, the dream, and I understand the distance between the two. I'm happy to guide you and provide you with any of my life experiences or modalities that I have to share because I have much to spare.
Great. What's your final remarks for our audience that are getting confidence because of this conversation of ours?
Ladies and gentlemen, it's about activation, a call to action, and doing things. I will say, I have lived in my realities and I'll end up dying in my dreams. All the work behind me, every day, every suffering moment, every moment of applause and congratulations, all my failures, they won't come back to haunt me in my last breath. Bring the two together, you have a complete life. Keep working on it. Don't give up. Stay focused and let you be the cause of your success or your failure. Be more honest with yourself than anybody else, and you will become free from the prison that your conditions, your life, or your thinking to put you through. It's never too late.
If you're serious about making better decisions in your life, career, or business, subscribe to the Powerhouse. Every episode, we unpack one real decision under pressure so you can learn from leaders across New York City. And if there's someone whose story we should feature next, drop their name in the comments. I'm JG, and I'll see you in the next episode.